Hey guys, Prowl1701 here, and today I'm doing a video request from a fellow Doctor Who YouTuber, DWFan91, who's a fantastic Doctor Who YouTuber, does a lot of great content, very professional looking videos. I'm a big fan of his channel, and I like conversing with him in his comment section and my comment section because he watches my content as well. And we have very different opinions sometimes on things, but we're always very respectful about each other's opinions. You know, we have a lot of stuff we agree on, we have a lot of stuff we think differently on, but we're always very respectful when we talk about it and can even see where each other's coming from sometimes. So I really like those kind of interactions in the fandom where you can, on occasion, drastically disagree with someone on an episode, while still respecting each other's opinions. I think that is a great example of the way the fandom should be. And so he actually had a video where he wanted to hear my opinion on something. And I thought, well, when the 91st Doctor Who fan, you know, asks you to do a video on something, I think you should do it. And it was a great video idea. He basically wanted me to talk about the Doctor Who stories that are being potentially colorized, like we got the Daleks in color. And most of you know I actually like the colorized cut-down version of the Daleks a lot, more so than most Classic Who fans do. I actually have a copy of it right here that the Flyattractor sent to me, which I very much appreciate. And he basically wanted to know if there were other potential 60s stories that I would like to see get that treatment where they're colorized and cut down. And he kind of wanted me to do a top 5 on maybe stories I'd be interested in. And so I have done that. It's actually going to be 6. I couldn't quite narrow it down to 5. I have 6. 6 that I would like to see, and then at the end we'll talk about the one story I do not want to see get it at all. Number 1 on the list is the Dalek invasion of Earth. I think this one would be great. I think, unlike the original Daleks, I think the Dalek invasion of Earth is fine at 6 parts. It doesn't drag on to me, and I do enjoy the movie the movie version of it too with Peter Cushing. I think that's a fine little cut down version of it. I enjoy that as well. It's hard for me to pick which one I like better, actually. I think there's some things I like better about the Cushing one. There's some things I like better about the TV one. I probably do prefer the TV one overall better. But I do think there is some stuff in there you could trim out. I don't think it's as in need of it as the original Daleks, as the original Daleks drags for me. But Dalek Invasion of Earth, I think is paced fine. But I do think there is some stuff you could trim out there. And more importantly, I think it would look really good in color, especially the location work with the Daleks running around London. I think that would really pop in color. I really want to see this story in color. Although I do hope they scale back on the new music a bit. The new music in the Daleks was very hit or miss, so I do hope that the new music in a potential Daleks Invasion of Earth edit would fit the tone of the story a little better. The next one on the list is The Chase. I could actually see The Chase looking really good. First off, there's so much you can cut out of The Chase, because The Chase has very good bookending episodes, but a lot of what's in the middle is bad. Like, you can cut episode 4 out almost completely. They show up, they get separated from Vicky, they leave. There's a lot you can cut out of The Chase and make The Chase so much better. Because, The Chase is one of the worst Doctor Who episodes in classic Doctor Who. Which means it's miles better than the worst of modern Doctor Who, but that's another story in another video. But there is a lot of excess in The Chase that doesn't need to be there. But there are some really strong moments that if you cut out the crap, and there's a lot of it, and you just get to the beat of the story, the good parts of the story, it could be really good. I also think it would look really good in color. I think some of the scenes would really pop in color on it. Now, of course, if you wanted to have the scene with the Beatles, you would have to get that cleared, so they could cut that. That could be one of the scenes they cut out completely with the Beatles, just so they don't have to deal with the hassle of that. But I think they can make a version of The Chase that I would actually call watchable. They could give me a version of The Chase that I wouldn't mind putting on, and I would probably also prefer it over the original version. So The Chase is definitely one on my list. And again, Both of these two we've talked about so far are Dalek stories, popular Dalek stories, so they would sell to a more modern audience, which these, of course, are targeted towards because it has the iconic Daleks in it. Next on the list, switching to Troughton, is The Seeds of Death. I rewatched The Seeds of Death recently and reviewed it recently. And as I was watching it, I was like, I really want to see this in color. I would really like to see this in color. I don't think there's a lot you need to trim out. There is some stuff you could trim out. I don't think you need to. I think Seeds of Death is paced pretty well, actually. Not the best pace, but it's paced pretty well. But there is some stuff in there you could trim it down a little. It definitely doesn't need to be trimmed out like the Daleks did, but you could still cut out some stuff, just tightening it up here and there without losing a lot of the story. But I really think it would look good in color. I would really like to see The Seeds of Death in color. I think that would look really good. Also, maybe with some new updated effects for like the rockets and stuff. I'd like to see that. Next on the list is Enemy of the World. I also would like to see this one in color. We only have a very few complete Troughton stories. 7, actually. We have 7 complete Troughton stories. And, of course, only 2 complete Troughton stories before Season 6. Both of them coming from Season 5 with Tomb. And I know a lot of people would want to see Tomb. I don't really want to see Tomb colorized. I think Tomb works really well in black and white. But Seeds of Death, Enemy of the World would work really good in color. I think it would be really nice to see Salamander in color, Troughton and Salamander facing off in color. I again think there's some parts you can trim out here. I'm not the biggest fan of Enemy of the World, actually. I think it's an overrated story. It's fine, and Troughton's putting in some fantastic performances, about 4 fantastic performances if you think about it. Because he's the Doctor, he's Salamander, he's the Doctor pretending to be Salamander, and he's Salamander pretending to be the Doctor. And they're all slightly different, which I love. And so I enjoyed that. But I don't... This isn't one I go back to a lot. I think I've watched this story twice now. I know I've watched it once because I watched it when it first came out. I own it. I think I watched it a second time. It just doesn't grab me like a lot of Troughton stories do, honestly. I would have rather had... couple of his other stories back instead. But this one's still solid, and I would like a cut-down version of it, because I do think... I'd like to see this one in color a lot, and I think if it was trimmed down, I'd probably enjoy it a little more, just tightened up a little bit. And then the last 2 we're going to talk about, because I couldn't quite decide between them. One is the War Machines. Again, I think there's a few bits you can trim down. The War Machines is also a really just good story. I mean, it's a terrible exit for Dodo. But I think Hartnell's putting in such a good performance. And I think there's so much you could do with it. And I definitely would like to see it colorized. I think the War Machines would be a good choice. Strong Season 3 finale. And the other one is the Romans. Because the Romans is so much fun. I enjoy the Romans. And I really don't think you'd have to trim much out to get it down to movie length. Really just trim out maybe... 20 minutes worth of stuff? It's only a 4-parter, I think. If I remember right, the Romans is only a 4-parter. And I love the Romans. It's so much fun. And then you could see the colors pop, the outfits they're wearing. I've seen some of the colorized scenes people have done of the Romans on YouTube, and the outfits they wear just look so glorious, and they pop so well. I know some people would probably prefer the Aztecs, but I would prefer the Romans colorized. It's a fun, funny comedy. Watching William Russell get to put his sword training, fencing training skills to use, watching the First Doctor and get to engage in some fisticuffs. I would enjoy seeing a colorized version of the Romans. I love the Romans. It's probably my second favorite Hartnell story after the Time Meddler. So I think the Romans would be a fun choice as well. So those are the 6 stories that come to my mind immediately. The Dalek Invasion of Earth, The Chase, The Seeds of Death, Enemy of the World, The War Machines, and The Romans. And I do hope one of those gets picked. Now I'm going to talk about the one story that I do not want to get this treatment, because I don't want it cut down at all. And that is the War Games. I do not want a cut down, colorized version of the War Games. That is the one story, if they do, I'm going to be disappointed. Because the War Games doesn't need it. The War Games is well paced at its 10 parts. It never drags to me. And I feel like you need all of it to get the story across. It is an epic. It is supposed to be an epic. Much like Dalek's Master Plan, War Games is meant to be an epic finale for a Doctor, and it is. There's so much good stuff going on in it. I know some people think of it as 9 episodes of more of the same, and then the 10th episode being such a banger, but I like all of the War Games. I don't need to see the War Games colorized. I don't need to see the War Games cut down. I mean, I guess I'd be fine if they colorized all 10 parts, but that's probably not going to happen. But I like the War Games in black and white, to be honest. The only episode I'd really want to see colorized would be episode 10, because you could do some interesting stuff with that, and maybe some updated effects for when the Doctor's looking at his possible future incarnations on screen. It's just those sheets of paper. That doesn't hold up well for me. My suspension of disbelief has a little trouble with the drawings on the paper. But other than that, I think the War Games holds up really well. So I hope they don't announce the War Games as the next colorization, or I will be very disappointed, quite honestly. So that's my thoughts. I want to know what you think on this list. I want to give a huge thank you to DWFan91. That was an excellent idea. And I like the idea of Doctor Who YouTubers kind of, you know, how to phrase this, getting ideas from other Doctor Who YouTubers, in the sense that we all kind of suggest to each other videos we'd like to see each other do. I kind of like that idea. For instance, I would like to see DWFan91 do a video talking about the Doctor Who animations, all the way from the Invasion through the Celestial Toymaker, hearing his thoughts on those, which ones he liked the best, which ones he liked the least, if he likes how they've evolved. I would love to hear him do a video about that, or him do a video about updated special effects in classic Doctor Who, whether he's for them, against them, whether it's a case-by-case basis, stories he prefers with them, stories he prefers without them. That'd be a fun video to see, I think, either of those. Granted, he has a busy schedule with his animations, and since his videos have a much more professional look than mine, I'm sure he puts a lot of time into editing them together, because they have this very professional look to them that's just fantastic. And they tend to be quite long videos. I'm making my way through one now, actually. That he might have a little bit on his plate. But if he ever did one of those, I'd enjoy watching one of those. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I always love hearing fellow Who-tubers' thoughts on the animations, the ones they prefer, and the updated effects. That's always fun. That's always a fun video for me to watch. So I want to know what you think on this video, so comment down below and let me know. Don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button as well. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me on that. There's a link to that down in the video as well, or down in the description as well. I want to give a shout out to a couple of my top tier patrons, Colin Coney and Stephen Crane. I appreciate their support, as I do the support of all of my patrons. It's very much appreciated, each and every one of you. I also have a P.O. box if you would like to send me anything to look at and review. A link to my Amazon wish list is down there, and a link to my Amazon UK wish list is down there as well. Most importantly, thank you for watching.